What up? Hello and welcome. Last time I made a conspiracies and propaganda video, and afterwards I realized I could practically go on forever. There's so much propaganda, there's so many conspiracies, and so I realized quickly that I need to cover Islam and Black Lives Matter. So without further ado, here we go. 1 second, please. All right. Let's start with Black Lives Matter. Okay, first of all, uh, we hear all the time Black Lives Matter is not a supremacy group, which I totally believe that they are. They're not a hate group, which I will prove to you that they are. And, that they just want equal rights, which I'll prove to you that they don't. And it's actually really simple. It comes out of all their own mouths. I mean, I don't really have to say a word. um, for starters, we hear this narrative that black people are, shot up at a phenomenal rate by police. We hear it all the time. That it's like cops are just murdering black people left and right. But let me drop a few statistics before I even get into this. Black people are 12, 13% of the population. Um, they're responsible for over 50% of the murders. So this idea that there's an disproportionate amount of black people shot is slightly true, but what they fail to mention is it's because they are disproportionately committing crimes and murders. And what do they want? Back in the day, when police didn't patrol certain areas, they called that racist. Now, when police patrol those same areas, they call them racist for patrolling. There must be a right answer. We can't have a catch-22 and you call us racist on both sides of the issue. I'm not a cop, but I'm just saying they call white people racist constantly. Let me read to you a little bit here from CNN. Syndicated columnist Nicholas Kristof wrote this week that young black men are 21 times more likely to be shot and killed by police than young white men. Fox News Channel host Bill O'Reilly has a much different take on this show. Monday night offered that more whites are killed by police than blacks. In 2012, 123 African Americans were shot dead by police. There are currently more than 43 million blacks living in the United States. There's about 320 million people altogether. O'Reilly said on his program, same year, 326 whites were killed by police bullets. These are the latest stats available. Looks like this is a couple of years old, but you can look up any year and it's basically the same. Whites are 2 to 3 times, sometimes more, likely to be shot by police. And being as blacks, do disproportionate amount of crime, you wouldn't think that were the case, eh? Also, when you look at the statistics from white to black, most whites kill other whites and rob other whites and do stuff like that. And most blacks do kill other blacks. That is true. However, when you look at the stats between interracial crime, blacks are way more likely to commit a crime against white people or Koreans or something like that than they are to have it done to them. So there's that to rest for starters. This here is a tweet from one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. And she says, please, Allah, give me strength not to cuss, kill these men and white folks out here today. Please, please, please. She has to beg to be able to control herself to not kill white people. Seems like she's all about peace and equality, eh? Black Lives Matter, do they want police to patrol the streets and to protect black citizens? And when other blacks are killing blacks at ridiculously high rates, just look at Chicago statistics, for instance, and you'll quickly realize that it is out of control. And never a word comes out of Black Lives Matter about it. Never a word. But if a cop doing his job, taking down a person who many times rightfully deserves it, they're called racist, and they call to kill cops. Here's a Black Lives Matter protest, and they're calling for dead cops. You can hear for yourself. Now, you'd think if you were for equality, you would like, and if you had an injustice, you'd think you'd call for the heads of those cops, not just all cops. There are a shit ton of cops that aren't white, first and foremost. There are a shit ton of cops that are white and have never drawn their weapons, but that's okay to kill them. And guess what? They have killed many cops. I find this rhetoric deplorable. This is propaganda at its worst. When we can hear propaganda calling for the lives of sects of people, how are we, I hate to have to bust out, Nazi Germany and shit, but, isn't this what Hitler did? Eventually you point the finger and you dehumanize people enough and then it's okay to kill them. I have problems with this sort of propaganda. It is a conspiracy to start a race war. How can you not think that when even the founders say this openly? Black Lives Matter openly calls for segregation. Segregation back in the day, or Jim Crow laws, we've heard, for decades how awful they were, and who doesn't agree? They were awful. Different restrooms, different kitchens, different drinking fountains. It's bullshit, I think they even had different schools and stuff. And they fought for, and many people beside them fought for, the end of segregation. And now they're trying to regress back into segregated society. Who doesn't think that that's a bad idea? Black Lives Matter has advocated for segregation in many instances. I'll read to you this thing here about public lands, but they've also wanted segregation at Black Lives Matter events. They sometimes force white people to leave, sometimes force them to the back of the crowd. You would think if you were actually oppressed that you would want any ally you could have. Being as black people are 12 to 13% of the population, white people are, I think, 46% of the population. You would think that you would take any allies you could get. But to me, oppression, if I was being oppressed, I'll take anyone to help me out of that situation. So it's really hard to believe both oppression and them advocating for segregation at the same time. Let me read this to you. Black Lives Matter to enforce the segregation of public lands. Carson City, Nevada, a Bureau of Land Management, Carson City District will enforce the segregation of public lands for mining claims as part of the National Defense Authorization Act, which requires Black Lives Matter to convey public lands to the city of Yerington. The segregation means that no new mining claims can be filed in this area. The conveyance area is located east of Yerington, Nevada, in Lyon and Mineral counties. The act included an expedition conveyance within 180 days to the city of Yerington for economic development purposes. Without the segregation, the conveyance area, approximately 10,359 acres, may become encumbered by new claims. The new claims may adversely affect the city's plans for long-term economic development. Segregation of the public lands is a critical step in the process of conveying the lands to the city. Black Lives Matter will continue to work closely with the city of Yerington to complete the conveyance as quickly as possible. So it seems that they're advocating, downright demanding, that where they're measuring out new parts of cities and towns and whatnot that will be built. They're trying to segregate it between the races. Dude, that's everything that, their ancestors and hopefully our ancestors fought against. And it's really hard to swallow. At Harvard, there was some students, Black Lives Matter advocates, advocating for white genocide. Let me show you.
Why do white people have a right to affirm their life? Because all rights have value. Really? How so? Why does white life have value? Well, I think for who? For who? Our argument is that white life is wrong. Why? Our argument is that we should never affirm white life. That your argument just affirming all life in general is not good, especially not good for black people when white life itself is based on white life.
White life is based on black.
I am white. Why shouldn't we affirm my life? I would say, why have to care about your life? There's no ethical reason as to why white people deserve to affirm black life means that white life has to occur. That's why you should lose this thing about your life ain't worth affirming. Sure. Okay. So are we killing ourselves? Honestly, why should we do that? How does that help? It's ethical. How is it ethical? We all have some form or another of privilege. Why does that mean we kill ourselves? Because you have white privilege. Why does having white privilege necessarily mean I should kill myself? Why shouldn't I struggle against the structures? Sure, struggling against structure means putting yourself on the line, putting your body on the line. Do it. Affirm your suicide.
And you're really doing that at Harvard, dipshit.
I mean, it's one little form, it's one little step in the right direction.
One little step in the right direction. These people are black supremacists. They're racist. They're calling for segregation, white genocide, kill all cops. What do you want? A lawless state? Completely lawless society? Well, I don't think you'd like the outcome of that because, you're overwhelmingly outnumbered. That's really fucking stupid. I'm going to move on to Islam, the religion of peace, which is not peace. By peace, they mean submission. Peace, whenever you hear the word peace, they mean submission. What they mean is that in global jihad, after everyone has submitted to Islam, which means you either become a Muslim, you aren't a Muslim, but you're extremely oppressed, and you pay what's called a jizya, a tax, for Christians and for Jews, and they can steal from you openly and do whatever they want to you. And after they basically converted or slaughtered or oppressed everyone else in the world, they consider that the submission, the peaceful era. When they talk about peace, they're not talking about them being peaceful, obviously, because they're not peaceful as shit. 30,000 people were killed last year from Islamic terrorism. 30,000. In Canada, a couple days ago, there was a terrorist attack on a Muslim church, and I haven't heard the names of these people, but 2 gunmen or 3 gunmen, I guess, killed like 5 people in a Muslim church, which I think is awful. But they openly preach hate against us at all times. They openly attack us at all times. So, when did they think that there would start being repercussions? How much do they think people are going to sit back and take this bullshit before they react? What's the name of this? Islamic, what's it called? The name of this, Islamic magazine or ISIS magazine, some shit like that, I think it's called, wrote an article, Why We Hate You, Why We Fight You. And I'm going to read you a couple paragraphs here. And they say with their own mouths how they are not a religion of peace, how they will never stop fighting us, ever. Doesn't matter what we do. But let me read to you their words. We hate you first and foremost because you are disbelievers. You reject the oneness of Allah. Whether you realize it or not, by making partners for him in worship, you blaspheme against him, claiming that he has a son. You fabricate lies against his prophets and messengers. When he says he has a son, talking about Christians believing in Jesus. And you indulge in all manner of devilish practices. It is for this reason that we were commanded to openly declare our hatred for you and our enmity towards you. There has already been for you an excellent example in Abraham and those with him, when they said to their people, indeed, we are disassociated from you and from whatever you worship other than Allah. We have rejected you, and there has arisen between us and you enmity and hatred forever, until you believe in Allah alone. See? They will slaughter everyone who doesn't believe in Allah. That is it. Furthermore, just as your disbelief is the primary reason we hate you, your disbelief is the primary reason we fight you, as we have been commanded to fight for the disbelievers until they submit to the authority of Islam. There you have it. Either by becoming Muslims or by paying jizya. What did I say? For those afforded this option, not killed, and living in humiliation under the rule of Muslims, because they will humiliate you. They will brutally treat you. They will rob you. They throw gay people off the tops of buildings. They stone their own mothers and daughters. They make their mothers and daughters wear bags and then convince them that somehow that's what they want to do. Thus, even if you are to stop fighting us, your best case scenario in a state of war would be that we would suspend our attacks against you if we deemed it necessary in order to focus on the closer and more immediate threats before eventually resuming our campaigns against you. So even if we pulled every boot off the ground, if we stopped fighting them, doesn't matter. The most that they would do is focus their attention on a more posing issue until they conquered that one, and they'll be right back. Apart from the option of a temporary truce, this is the only likely scenario that would bring you fleeting respite from our attack. So in the end, you cannot bring an indefinite halt to our war against you. At most, you could only delay it temporarily and fight them until there is no more fitna, paganism, and until the religion, all of it, is for Allah, until the world is submitted to Allah. We hate you because you're secular. Liberal societies permit the very things that Allah has prohibited while banning many of the things he has permitted, a matter that doesn't concern you because you separate between religion and state, thereby granting supreme authority to your whims and desires via the legislators you vote into power. In doing so, you desire to rob Allah of his right to be obeyed, and you wish to usurp the right for yourselves. Legislation is not but for Allah. Yusuf 40. Your secular liberalism has led you to tolerate and even support gay rights, to allow alcohol, drugs, fornication, gambling, and usury to become widespread, and to encourage people to mock those who denounce these filthy sins and vices. As such, we wage war against you to stop you from spreading your disbelief and debauchery, your secularism and nationalism, your perverted liberal values, and liberals take their sides. So many liberals take Islam's side. It doesn't make any sense. Your Christianity and atheism and all of the depravity and corruption they entail. You've made it your mission to liberate Muslim societies. We've made it our mission to fight off your influence and protect mankind from your misguided concepts and your deviant way of life. In the case of atheist fringe, we hate you and wage war against you because you disbelieve in the existence of your Lord and Creator. You witness the extraordinary complex makeup of created beings and the astonishing and inexplicably precise physical laws that govern the entire universe, but insist that they have all came about through randomness. I'm going to skip a little here. We hate you for your crimes against Islam and wage war against you to punish you for your transgressions against our religion. As long as your subjects continue to mock our faith, insult the prophets of Allah, including Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, burn the Quran, and openly vilify the laws of the Sharia, we should vilify that bullshit. We will continue to retaliate, not with slogans and placards, but with bullets and knives. We hate you for your crimes against the Muslim. Your drones and fighter jets bombs kill and maim our people around the world. You know, they always bring up, while it's talking about that, they always bring up the what the fuck is it called? The Crusades, right? But what they failed to mention is how the Crusades came about from like 400 or 500 years of Muslim aggression. They had taken over tons of countries, tons, and just did the same thing they're doing now: murder, terrorize, rape, pillage, steal, oppress. And the world got tired of it, and they banded together and they beat them back to where they fucking came from. And eventually, people felt bad enough to where they stopped. Maybe we shouldn't have fucking stopped, because here, a few hundred years later, they build up strength, and here they are back at it again. Well, you keep fucking with us, maybe next time we won't fucking stop. Turn your fucking land into a big ass swimming pool for the world to enjoy. See how much you'd enjoy that shit. Apologize. This always pops up when I least expect it. And your puppets in the usurped lands of the Muslims oppress, torture, and wage war against anyone who calls to the truth. As such, we fight you to stop you from killing our men, women, and children, to liberate those of them whom you imprison and torture, and to take revenge for the countless Muslims who suffered as a result of your deeds. We hate you for invading our lands and fight you to repel you and drive you out. As long as there's an inch of territory left for us to reclaim, jihad will continue to be a personal obligation on every Muslim. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they attacked us, and they've been attacking us for centuries. But that doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter how many of our innocents are killed, but a few of their innocents are killed, and oh, it makes national fucking news, right? If our bullshit media had anywhere the integrity that they claim that they do, and they presented both sides of this, people would see right through this bullshit to the reality, and we would be fighting them in a way harsher stance right now. Not fucking babying them at every fucking turn. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. They openly call for all of our deaths, for us to be oppressed and enslaved by them. Enslaved. If we don't fight that, that shit will happen. The thing with propaganda is it convinces the, useful idiots out there that they should be on the wrong side of every fucking issue. And we have a whole lot of that going around these days. And, it makes sense that the Black Lives Matter founders are Islamic as well, because, they just openly hate everything about us and our Western culture, it seems. Even though those three women who are the Black Lives Matter founders, stupid ass bitches, would be wearing bags if Islam ruled the fucking world right now. That's how fucking ridiculous they are. I think I've put enough information into your heads for now. Look at this. I couldn't have written a more precise reasoning why they do and everything that they do if I wanted to. They've gone here point by point and said everything that I was going to say. I was going to do like I normally do and have all these tabs open. And this one article, they laid it out so good, I don't need to do anything else. And this is directly from the Islamic State. So what more do I need to say? Till next time, I'm Socrates. Peace.